Imagine this. In just 5 seconds, everything you built, your peace, your privacy, your future can be destroyed simply because you trusted the wrong person with your personal information. And if you think this can't happen to you, then listen carefully, because once you miss the first truth, the rest will never fully make sense. We live in a world where every click, every message, every detail you give away is like handing someone the keys to your home. And if your home is your safe space, your mind and your data are the walls that protect it. But here's the link. If you weaken one wall by sharing a small piece of information, you open a hole big enough for danger to crawl in. You may think it's harmless. Your birthday, your address, your mother's name. But remember, the smallest detail becomes the sharpest weapon when placed in the wrong hands. If you believe trust is earned, then know this: not everyone you speak to is earning your trust. Many are buying your silence. If you give one fact today, they will ask for 2 tomorrow. And if you think you can stop halfway, you're already trapped. Because the first word you spoke is the chain that pulls the next. One detail leads to another. One crack opens the next. One choice destroys the rest. Let me tell you something clear. Your personal information is not just numbers and words. It is your identity, your dignity, your future. If you let someone play with it, they are not just stealing data. They are stealing pieces of who you are. And if you still believe this is not serious, then remember this: every scam, every fraud, every betrayal begins not with a weapon, but with a word someone willingly gave. So here is your call to action. And guard your information as if your life depends on it, because it does. Say no before you regret yes. Protect your privacy before someone profits from your silence. And most of all, remind yourself trust is precious, but not everyone is worthy of it. Never share your personal information with anyone, because the day you do, it will no longer be personal. It will no longer be yours. Every single piece of personal information you share, no matter how small, creates a chain reaction that you cannot control once it leaves your lips or your fingertips. Imagine for a moment that you are holding a thread in your hand. That thread represents one simple detail: your birthday, your phone number, or even your favorite color. Now, when you let go of that thread, it doesn't simply fall to the ground and disappear. Instead, it connects to another thread, which leads to another, until an entire web begins to form. That web is not created by you, but by the one who received your information. And while you may have thought it was harmless to share just one piece, the truth is that one piece becomes the beginning of a map that can be used to trace every part of your life. If you've ever wondered how a scam begins, how fraud takes root, or how betrayal is born, it never begins with a grand plan or a weapon in someone's hand. It begins with a single word you spoke, A single detail you released without thought, and then it grows. One question leads to another. One answer builds trust. And soon, the person on the other end knows you better than you realize. The first detail you gave them, the first thread you let go, becomes the hook that pulls you deeper into a trap. You see, when you share something as simple as your birth date, it may look like nothing, but to someone with ill intent, it is a key. That key combined with your email unlocks accounts. That email tied to your mother's maiden name or your childhood pet becomes the perfect recovery answer for a password. And suddenly, what looked like random harmless details become the full set of tools needed to open the lock to your life. This is the danger of the chain reaction. You never see it happening in real time. But the moment you surrender one fact, you are already standing in the middle of a storm you cannot see yet. Think about this. When you walk into a crowded market, you instinctively hold your wallet close. You guard your bag and you make sure no one has access to your valuables. But when you walk into the digital market, the internet, you casually hand over your wallet by typing in personal information, thinking no one is watching. Yet in reality, the eyes are sharper, the hands are quicker, and the dangers are more silent than in any marketplace you've ever known. The difference is simply in a physical crowd. You see the thief's attempt, but online or in conversation, the theft happens with a smile, with trust, with your own permission. And here is where the chain reaction becomes more dangerous. People rarely stop after asking once. The moment you give them one answer, they know they can get another. If you told them your school, they will ask about your favorite teacher. If you told them your city, they will ask about your neighborhood. If you told them your dream, they will ask about your weakness. And little by little, they gather enough to build a picture of who you are, where you are, and how you can be controlled. The tragedy is you never realize are handing them the paintbrush to sketch your life. This is why you must understand information is not free. It is not harmless and it is not casual. Information is currency, and in the wrong hands it is a weapon. Every company pays billions to collect data. Every scammer thrives on stealing data. Every betrayal begins with someone knowing something about you that they were never supposed to know. If data was useless, no one would spend their lives trying to take it. But because it is powerful, because it is the new gold of our age, they seek it. And when you give it away casually, you are handing over treasure without even realizing it. Consider for a moment how deeply one small mistake can echo. A person shares their birthday on social media, thinking it's a celebration. Days later, their bank account is accessed because their birthday, combined with their name, was enough to answer a security question. Another person shares their location in real time, thinking it's harmless. Hours later, their home is broken into because the wrong person knew they were away. Someone else shares pictures of their children online with names and schools attached, believing it's just family pride. But predators use those very details to approach with false familiarity, putting innocence in danger. These are not distant stories. These are daily realities. And each one began with one simple act. Sharing what should never have been shared. This is the psychology of the trap. Humans are wired to trust, to bond, to share, because we long for connection. But predators are wired to exploit that very need. They do not need to break down your door. They need only to wait for you to open it willingly. And here is where the chain becomes unbreakable. Once you open the door even slightly, it is almost impossible to close it again. Once the information is out, it cannot be taken back. It will live forever in databases, in messages, in screenshots, in memories. And the person holding it may not use it today, but they can use it tomorrow when you least expect it. If you doubt this, think about the countless times you've seen old posts or messages resurface. Something you said years ago, something you shared without thought suddenly comes back like a shadow. That is the reality of information. You may forget it, but it never forgets you. And when it rests in the wrong hands, the chain reaction never ends. So ask yourself, why give them the first thread? Why open the first door? Why speak the first word? Because if you don't, the chain cannot begin. And if the chain cannot begin, you remain in control. Your silence is your shield. Your refusal is your strength. And your awareness is your protection. Remember this truth. One detail leads to another. One crack opens the next. One choice destroys the rest. If you break the chain at the beginning, you prevent the storm at the end. So today, let this be your conviction. Never share your personal information with anyone. Not because you are hiding something, but because you are protecting everything. Not because you are paranoid, but because you are wise. And not because you fear the world, but because you respect yourself enough to keep what is yours, yours. Your personal information is not just numbers, not just words, not just random facts that can be given away without consequence. It is the very fabric of your identity, the thread that weaves together your dignity, your freedom, and your future. Every time you share a piece of that fabric, you are not simply giving away data. You are unraveling part of who you are. And what unravels can never be restored in the same way again. That is why you must understand this truth. Your personal information is your power, and once you release it, that power is no longer in your hands. Imagine for a moment that you are holding a keychain filled with keys. Each key represents something valuable. One opens your house, one unlocks your car, one gives access to your office, and one keeps your savings safe. Now imagine that each piece of personal information you share is like handing one of those keys to someone else. At first, it may feel harmless. It is just one key you tell yourself. But keys are never just keys. In the wrong hands, one key can lead to another. One lock can be tested against many doors, and suddenly the security you trusted is gone. Your name is not just a name. It is connected to records, accounts, and histories that define you. Your address is not just a location. It is the center of your safety, the place where your loved ones live, where your most sacred belongings rest. Your birthday is not just a date. It is often the first question a bank or an institution asks to confirm your identity. Your phone number is not just digits. It is a lifeline that connects to your messages, your calls, your two-factor authentications, your very voice. Each of these alone might look small, but together they form a complete blueprint of who you are. And once someone has that blueprint, they do not need your permission to enter. They already know the path. Here is where the danger grows. Once your personal information leaves your control, it does not remain still. It travels, it gets stored, copied, shared, and sometimes sold. The internet does not forget, and neither do people who profit from secrets. What you thought was a simple detail becomes a permanent mark existing in databases. You will never see, in files you will never touch, in places you will never know. And while you may forget what you once shared, the world will remember. That memory can be used tomorrow, next month, or even years later when you least expect it. This is why your personal information is not just information. It is your future written in code. When someone else controls it, they control a piece of your destiny. If they have your financial details, they control your wealth. If they have your location, they control your safety. If they have your private conversations, they control your reputation. And if they have your identity, they control your very existence in the systems of the world. In this way, the loss of information is not just about data theft. It is about losing fragments of your self piece by piece until there is nothing left that belongs only to you. Some people say, I have nothing to hide, so it doesn't matter. But that belief is the very trap that predators rely on. They know you will dismiss the value of your own details until it is too late. The truth is this: having nothing to hide does not mean you have nothing to protect. Even if your life looks simple, your information is priceless to those who know how to exploit it. To a thief, you're ordinary. Details are extraordinary opportunities. To a scammer, you're harmless. Answers are perfect tools. To a manipulator, you're casual. Sharing is the doorway to control. Look at the patterns of betrayal, scams, and fraud. In the modern world, none of them begin with violence. None of them begin with obvious threats. They begin with trust. They begin with someone lowering their guard. They begin with a simple conversation, a harmless post, an innocent answer, and slowly, detail by detail, piece by piece, the predator collects enough to build a weapon out of your own words. That is why the most dangerous theft today is not of wallets or jewels, but of information. Because information cannot be seen being stolen, and yet it has the power to ruin more than any weapon ever could. If you think this is an exaggeration, consider real examples. A person posts their birthday online, celebrating with friends, unaware that their bank account can be accessed with that very detail. Another shares their vacation in real time, showing pictures of being away, unaware that their empty home is now a target for theft. Someone else posts about their child's school and routine, proud of their achievements, unaware that strangers now know exactly where and when to find them. None of these people thought they were sharing secrets. They thought they were sharing life. But life shared without caution becomes vulnerability exposed without defense. This is the hard truth. Once your personal information is given, you no longer own it. You cannot erase it. You cannot call it back. You cannot control where it travels or who uses it. What once was yours becomes someone else's to manipulate. What once was private becomes public. What once was safe becomes dangerous. This is why silence is often your greatest shield. The less you give, the more you keep. The less you reveal, the stronger you remain. So what does it mean to guard your information? It means thinking before speaking, pausing before posting, questioning before trusting. It means recognizing that trust is valuable, but not everyone is worthy of it. It means remembering that some doors must remain closed even when others knock politely. It means understanding that every fact you share is a brick removed from the wall that protects your life. And the more bricks you remove, the weaker that wall becomes until it collapses entirely. Your life, your dignity, and your power are worth more than any moment of careless sharing. Guard them, protect them, respect them, because the world will never value them as much as you do. If you hand over your personal information, the world will use it, twist it, and profit from it without hesitation. But if you hold it close, you keep control of what is yours, and no one can take it without your permission. So let this be your conviction. Never treat your information as ordinary, because it is extraordinary. Never treat it as useless, because it is priceless. Never treat it as replaceable, because it is irreplaceable. Speak less, reveal less, and trust less, because the world does not need to know everything about you. You are not defined by what you share. You are defined by what you protect. Your personal information is your life in pieces. Protect it with the same strength you would protect your life in whole. Because the day you lose control of it is the day you lose control of yourself. And that is a loss too great to recover.